I sent Mr. Richmond a copy of a 2-page unclassified memo and asked him to get the substance of it out to the media.
Did you leak other things through Mr. Richmond?
Yeah. I'm smiling, Brad. I don't consider what I did with Mr. Richmond a leak. I told him about an unclassified conversation with the president, and I didn't consider it part of an FBI file, all the things I talked about with Anderson.
You wrote it as an FBI director. It was a work product.
No, it was not.
You said in the memos, I said, I don't do sneaky things, I don't leak, I don't do weasel moves. But I mean, we can argue what a leak is, but that's a leak, isn't it?
It's not.
Those comments from former FBI Director Jim Comey sparking a firestorm of reaction over the definition of leaking. Let's bring in James Kallstrom. He's a former assistant director of the FBI, and get his reaction. Jim, always a pleasure to see you. Thanks so much for weighing in this morning. You know, if it wasn't important and part of the FBI work, then why did it have an intent to get a special counsel? I mean, the whole thing. Your reaction, Jim Kallstrom.
Well, I think he's lost his mind, Jim Comey. I don't understand, what his act is. This book tour and all this nonsense about it's not a leak. Of course it's a leak, without question. I mean, and his conversation with the President of the United States is automatically classified. At least it was when I was in the government, unless they've changed rules like that. But Maria, we're in a 3-act play, and it's it's not a comedy. It's a tragedy. Act 1 was to stop Mr. Trump from becoming the President of the United States. That failed. Act 2 was to diminish his ability to manage the country. And even with that, he has done a fantastic job. I say that as someone who's not affiliated with either party. But look what he's done. Even with all the backlash and all the nonsense that's going on, there is no question that there's a cabal, a fifth column, a conspiracy, call it what you may, that involves people in the intelligence community, probably involves people over in Great Britain who have probably fed information to people like John Brennan. I don't know that for a fact, but it would not surprise me. And this is really a nasty, nasty Act 2 that's going on. And people in the United States, I mean, we have to violently react to this, not from the standpoint of guns and bullets, but from the standpoint of stopping this. This cannot go on in the United States. This is third world country stuff.
Yeah, I just wonder if there will be any accountability here, Jim. I mean, we are waiting for the IG report to come out, and it is expected to zero in on that. But, the left is digging in. I mean, look at James Clapper and John Brennan. Clapper texts or tweets out at the president yesterday, taunting him, basically almost threatening him, stay tuned, Mr. Trump, is on his tweet saying that he doesn't believe that there was no collusion. The House Intelligence Committee just told us that there was no collusion. He's calling it a highly partisan, incomplete, and deeply flawed report by the broken House committee. And then he says, stay tuned. Your thoughts on Clapper and Brennan and their role?
Oh, I think it's outrageous. I think, they are in fact threatening. And who are they to be threatening the President of the United States? They're not in the government anymore. They're private citizens. They can say what they want, I guess. But it's just outrageous. And I have no doubt that they've conspired with others, including Jim Comey and others unnamed at this point. And the big tragedy, the big catastrophe for the country, we haven't even talked about yet, and that's the unmaskings. That's the Samantha Powers claiming that she didn't even know about it. That's the John Brennans. That's the people probably at NSA. That's this whole cabal, violating the rights of American citizens. And here we got a Deputy Attorney General that signed a continuation of a FISA order that's full of fictitious, bogus information. And he's still the Deputy Attorney General of the United States. I can't figure that one out.
And by the way, the Clinton people, whether it's, you mentioned Power, but let's not forget Huma Abedin or Cheryl Mills, they got immunity.
Well, the whole thing.
Even though they lied.
Right. Yeah. Well, that's, that was, that's part of, Act 1, where the FBI just gave a pass to the Clintons and did this outrageous stuff that, like kindergarten investigations. With no subpoenas, no search warrants, no grand jury, no nothing. I mean, it was a sham. It was an absolute total sham.
It's horrible. And I know it hurts you because of all of your proud years at the FBI, Jim. Thanks very much for joining us this morning. Jim Kallstrom, it's always a pleasure. Good to see you.
Thank you, Maria.